Good Doc, back again. Once again, let's lock in. I've been just pondering a lot of things lately, and I've just been just going over a couple things in my mind, a couple of videos I've been watching lately, also just things that have come to fruition over the last couple of days. And to be honest with you, I'm not breaking news. I'm not acting like I'm the first one to say this, and I damn sure ain't gonna be the last one to say this. But what I'm starting to realize is just how little the rules in the Philippines favors foreigners in any capacity, right? And I kind of believe that, much like myself, a lot of you guys are simple guys, right? We don't want very much when we come to the Philippines. We just want to be able to retire and live a pretty decent life, right? Myself, I would hope to be able to own property, right? Condos, yes, we can own outright, but if you want like a little property, a little land, a house to put on that land or whatever it may be, you have to have a Filipino partner, i.e., your wife or significant other, or anybody in any capacity that is born Filipino. Okay? So you can't own land outright as a foreigner. So that kind of puts a damper on things. That means you have to be in partnership with somebody else in order to be able to have something, right? I don't think too many of my guys are looking to go to the Philippines and have a business, but of course, if you want to own a business, you also have to have a Philippine partner for the most part to be able to do anything active in the Philippine community. So anything that you're going to do as a foreigner, what I'm trying to say is it seems as though a Filipino has to be attached to anything that you're actually trying to do. Now, I know there's loopholes around that, right? I know there's ways to get around that. I've, heard a couple of people who've made videos about it, and the like, right? So there are ways, rules, and little loopholes for you to get around it. But in order for you to avoid that headache, or not to have to go through that, or to take the more simpler route, you would just rather get the Filipino partner or your wife or whatever it may be, or significant other, to put their name on the property. Now, as many of you guys know, there's not too many of us in this community that are big on putting anybody's name on anything that we are paying for outright. Things end bad, things go tits up. There's no way in this world that a foreigner wants to forfeit anything that they have and give it to their Filipino partner. Whether things go bad, like I said, if you get into an argument, a disagreement, or something like that, if they want to take the property from you, there's going to be very few things in your favor as a foreigner, laws included, that will prevent them from being able to take the property. Again, when it comes down to just property, flat out, the Filipino partner is 60 and you, the foreigner, would probably have 40%. And of course, the person with the majority ownership usually has the say-so in a lot of things. And outside of just owning property, outside of just trying to do business and things like that, there's not a lot that foreigners can do unless you have your residency or your permanent residency or your 10-year residency or whatever it is on your ACR card whenever you actually do get married. And if you're not the type of person that wants to get married, then that puts you in a little bit of a situation. Not too many of us care so much about the extension of our visas when we need to do it. Some of us do care, some of us don't care. And then when that time comes where you're required to leave the country and come back because you've extended it the maximum amount of times that you're allowed to extend your visa in the Philippines, and you have to leave and then come back and start that process all over, there are very few people who care about that as well. But to think about all the shit that you actually have to do as a foreigner in the Philippines to live what I would like to believe the life that you want to live in a place that offers an easier way of living for most of us foreigners, and to a place where we kind of feel like we found our little piece of paradise in a place like the Philippines. It seems as though there's a lot of things that foreigners have to do, and there's a lot of things that foreigners have to keep up with just in order for us to be able to live the lifestyle that we want to. Now, it's not something that comes up in common conversation because a lot of us don't really complain about this. It's something that we always knew that we would have to do. And as a result of us knowing that, it's like what I would like to call just a part of doing business, right? It's just a part of the format, part of the formality. Oh, so I got to go to extend my visa every 6 months or so, whatever. Just sign my name on a piece of paper, pay the fine, extend the ACR card or whatever the price is, and go on about my business. And that happens quite frequently. Like I said, unless you get married, and a lot of you guys don't want to. If you do have a wife, I do believe it's like every 5 or 10 years or so, something to that effect. Don't quote me on that one. I have to ask my father about that. I think it's like 10 years. I think his is every 10 years, 5 years. But it just seems as though there's a lot that you have to go through just in order to live a comfortable life in the Philippines. It doesn't seem like a lot, but if you think about it and the things that they require in the United States as a result of Filipinos came to the United States, they don't have to go through as many loopholes. Yeah, you have to get your green card, become a green card holder, whether you're on a working visa or whatever it may be. You still have to go through that process. But once you've gone through that, you don't need no foreigner, no American's name on anything to own a property in the United States. As a matter of fact, and you can quote me on this one, what is his name? Famous Philippine celebrity. Martin Rivera, I believe that's who it is. Martin Rivera. Singer, man. I love his singing. He's a great guy. He's an older guy. I think it's Martin Rivera. And if I'm saying that wrong, y'all get me right. He has a house in Henderson, Nevada. Like, they literally showed him flying to the United States. I don't know what I was watching this time. I was still in the Philippines at this time. But he physically owns a house in Henderson, Nevada. Right? That's just about 3-4 hours away from Las Vegas, I believe. Get me right on that one. I don't know the Vegas landscape like that, or the outskirts of Vegas landscape like that, where Reno is and where, Hendersonville. Is it Henderson or Hendersonville? Something like that. I don't know where they are geographically in reference to Las Vegas, but he owns property out there. And I'm thinking to myself, well, damn. I don't think that Martin Rivera is a American citizen, but I do know that he does sometimes go to Las Vegas and does some residency shows, or at least he used to. So he always had a reason to come back and forth, apparently for work. And as a result, he was able to buy property. So it's not so much about whether you have the money or the means to do so. It's just the fact that you can own property and do all of this shit outright in the United States. But us as foreigners coming from this first world country, it seems like we got to jump through hoops and do all of this extra shit just to be able to own property in the Philippines. And it's no knock on the country, but the fact that we're first world, they can do that, and it's third world, but we can't, it baffles the shit out of me. It does. It makes you think all of the stuff that they make us do as foreigners in the Philippines just to be able to have what we have or to own what we want to own. It seems as though Filipinos have to be attached to it in some capacity. So it makes me wonder, why are foreigners even looking to try to settle down in the Philippines in the long term? Like, what is it that truly benefits them in the long term, in the long run of being able to live in the Philippines, like long term? I know what it is for me, right? I know what it is for me. I've been able to create a nice little comfortable life for myself. I've never shied away from it. I've never shitted on it. I've never really hid anything about it. I just genuinely enjoy my time there. And like I said earlier about, we just kind of chalk it up to the price of doing business. It's just something that you got to shell out for. And it's nothing, right? It's never anything, as long as your money's, in the right places and doing the right things. It's never anything that's going to hurt the pockets. But where I stand, I just like to think about other foreigners, like first timers or people who are looking to settle in or people who are looking to retire, when these rules don't benefit us in any capacity, whether it be rules for owning land, rules for owning property, rules for opening businesses, rules for doing anything that a Filipino could do, we just have to be either taxed a little bit higher for doing it, we have to pay a little bit more to do it, we got a lot more loopholes to do it. And even after we do all that, there still has to be a Filipino attached to anything that is our own personal entity. It blows my mind, man. It blows my mind. And even from the perspective of being on YouTube and making YouTube videos, you can't sell anything unless the Philippines gets a piece of that. Like, if you're really doing like Philippine content and you're in the Philippines, heaven forbid they find out that you're trying to make a little living for yourself, being somewhat of an influencer or the like, all of a sudden, now they want to come on you for nothing, even if you're not actually selling something at all, even if you're not physically saying, look, this is my product, click the link in the description area below to buy my product. Even if that's not the case, if you are being sponsored or whatever it may be, or, this video was sponsored by so-and-so, link in the description area below to get your stuff at a discount. Even if that's the case, you're going to pay for that, right? They're going to get their cut of that. And it's no different than being in the United States and they getting a cut of it too. But I kind of feel like If you're doing that and you're living in the Philippines and you've been there for a significant period of time where they can track, your videos from this time to where you currently stand, and they can see that you've been here, they can follow up with BIR and the immigration office and see how long you've been in, how many times you've extended it. Guess what? When you go in and you try to extend again, do you not think that they're probably going to put a little flag on your shit and say, oh, you owe us, right? You owe us, because all it takes is somebody who feels a way about your content to try to fuck you up. All it takes is for somebody who feels as though you're really making a living off of YouTube and your videos and the ads that run and all of this shit, and they feel a way about it, right? That's all it takes. And the thing about it is, what I've learned, and you're going to learn this too, even if you're not doing anything wrong, guess what's going to happen? All it takes is for them to inquire about it. All it takes is for them to just look into it. All it takes is for somebody to investigate what's going on, right? Even if it's nothing there. All it takes for something to investigate. And guess what? Chances are they're going to find something to try to get you on. That's the thing. I just feel like they're going to find something to get you on. And when they find it, it just makes it a little bit more complicated. You thought that you were going to be able to live a nice little life in the Philippines, kick back, relax, enjoy the show, make a little couple dollars here, a couple dollars there from AdSense or whatever it is from your YouTube channel if you choose to take the vlogging route or you choose to do something where it's an online format or whatever. They find something. What does that mean for us? That's not always a good look, because now you're on the radar. People are going to be looking for you, and people are going to be just waiting for you to mess up. They're going to be waiting for you to do this. And trust me, when they have you under a microscope, man, it's never a good feeling. And that's what nobody really wants, especially when all we're trying to do is live our life, make our content, and just keep it pushing. That's for those of us who choose to live our lives in front of the camera, or for those of us who choose to talk about our lives on YouTube and share it with the community, share what we've learned, share the mistakes to avoid, share the things you should probably look into in order to help your time in transition into moving into a foreign country a little bit easier. We can't even do that anymore without the fear of somebody like, yo, how are they going to take this video sometimes? It's just a little weird. And it's a weird time. It's a weird landscape. And I guess it's just something we got to live with, right? So, when the rules don't necessarily favor us as foreigners, why would any foreigner want to move to the Philippines in any capacity? All right, comment section below, let me know. Ladies and gentlemen, this has been a Good Doc. If you enjoyed this content, you already know what to do. Please feel free to share, like, comment, and subscribe. Do all that good jazz, man. The Good Doc is officially out. At least nako paalam, which means I am going now. Bye-bye. As always, love you guys. Sincerely do. Makita. Mabuhay. Peace.